You know what? There should be a petition at this point to put Gonzo the Great and Rizzo the Rat in every single movie, like every single adaptation of a famous novel at least, because, they make everything fun. Muppet Treasure Island is directed by Brian Henson, written by Jerry Jull, James V. Hart, and Kirk R. Thatcher. This stars Kevin Bishop as Jim Hawkins, Tim Curry as Long John Silver, and again our main puppeteers here as Gonzo and Rizzo the Rat, respectively, are Dave Goelz and Steve Whitmire. Now, for those who don't know what Treasure Island is all about, it's about this boy named Jim Hawkins, who in this movie is now apparently an orphan, and he pretty much gets into this situation with a bunch of pirates, and he ends up pretty much becoming a cabin boy for this ship, and he goes off to find treasure on Treasure Island. And on the ship is this man named Long John Silver, who is the cook. But then they begin to kind of discover that Long John Silver isn't who he claims to be. Now I can kind of imagine Disney's plan with Muppet Treasure Island and the Muppet Christmas Carol, because they really do seem to be trying to make like a string of movies based on novels, but with the Muppets in them. And unfortunately, it only lasted like 2 movies. And I started thinking like it might be a good idea to maybe do that again, perhaps, because I don't know, because you'll always have source material to draw from, and as we saw from like the past Muppet movies that are original stories, sometimes they're hit and miss. So I don't know, it might be an option for them to consider now. But Muppet Treasure Island is still an okay movie because it, again, like the Muppet Christmas Carol, some things were lost in transition from book to kids movie. Okay, first of all, this is kind of like a period piece again, and pirates and stuff, and it does look very good actually. Like this really looks like a big budget kind of thing because you've got islands that actually look like islands for the most part. Then the whole ship thing, and everything is just really again mounted very well. The structures and the sets really look nice. I was surprised though that there's actually very good camera work here. It's not static at all. Like for me, I think this is filmed in such a way that it actually does feel like this adventure movie. Like they don't let the fact that there are Muppets in it, limit them from doing normal camera work. And in terms of acting, Tim Rice, who plays Long John Silver, he is really great. Like I can also tell what Disney's doing, that they're getting the main roles filled in by famous actors. And kind of embarrassing, I thought this was Paul Giamatti until the credits came up. And yeah, but Tim Curry really is great because while he can't really show the menacing side of Long John Silver so much because this is a kids movie, he is able to bring the enthusiasm to the role, and it was really fun. It's like everyone is just drawing from his enthusiasm because he's just such a fun central performance. Kevin Bishop, the young kid who plays Jim Hawkins, I believe this was his first role, and he's actually really good in it. For a child actor, he really brings emotion to his role. You feel his happiness and his excitement when he gets onto the Hispaniola, and you also feel his like the fear kind of and the sadness of discovering that Long John Silver isn't who he says he is. And again, the Muppets really do play their parts well. I mean, it's really surprising. It's really, impressive to see that these voice actors and these puppeteers really bring their A game, especially when they're dealing with material that's as famously celebrated as, let's say, Treasure Island or Christmas Carol. Like, you can tell they really have a love for this source material and they really play their parts well. In terms of directing from Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson, I think he does do it well also. The song numbers are, again, they're not like super elaborate, again, as the great Muppet Caper, but here they are directed in such a way that, keeps things interesting. And again, it's directed as if it's an actual adventure movie, which I really like because you get lots of cool, shots where it's just fighting and, adventure and all of that. And speaking of fight directing, it's actually not bad because I was afraid that seeing Muppets kind of like sword fight with each other might look fake, and even more so if you have a human fighting a Muppet, it might look fake. But here it actually does look quite believable. It's like there was like minimal sword training required. And that's good to see that kind of effort. Now the music is really good again too. There's again less songs here I think that are of note compared to a Muppet Christmas Carol, but a lot of the earlier songs like are really fun. My favorite ones definitely had to be "Shiver My Timbers," which is the very first song, which is really cool because it's pirate theme song and stuff. And then you have "Something Better," which is also good. And lastly, I think my favorite has to be "Professional Pirate" because Professional Pirate, come on, it's great. Another pirate theme song. Speaking of music, there are people karaokeing like in some house. I'm sorry if my videos are so noisy sometimes. Like I should probably get a mic, but neighbors are noisy. Although as good as the music is in this movie, I thought some songs were quite unnecessary and they did stretch out the running time to 100 minutes, which is like the longest Muppet movie so far, I think. And it's just, I don't know, like they really didn't need to be there because they didn't really add to anything. They weren't that entertaining. Like, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Cabin Fever. It's kind of weird. But the score to this movie also was really, really good. Like, as soon as the movie kicked on, I was thinking, okay, this is surprisingly really good for, like, this Muppet movie. Like, what did they get? Then Hans Zimmer's name came up. I was like, oh my god. Now, as trustworthy as the source material is, and, Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island really is a very, very good story with great characters and just, like, great themes behind it, too. But as good as that source material is, they did some things with the plot. It's not 100% faithful to the plot that they didn't really work for me. They really just felt like they were there to make it more, appealing to kids, just allow them to reach a solution faster. And I don't like that, really. They do just kind of rush through some plot points that I don't really appreciate because they proved with the Muppet Christmas Carol that they can stay pretty much faithful to the source material and, deliver a good story. But my biggest problem, I think, with the fact that they took this much liberty with the source material is that they kind of leave out the relationship between Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver, which is like the central relationship. That's like where the heart of this whole story is. And, this relationship never gets developed throughout the movie, and I wish it were because that's something you need to show kids, man. Like, it might be a bit too deep, but they'll get it later on. In the end, Muppet Treasure Island is just an okay movie. I think they did a bit too much with their creative license, and they did try and curb it a bit too much to be a kids movie and not necessarily a family movie. Again, it has like that whole TV special vibe. It's not completely a bad thing. It's just that it doesn't feel it doesn't deliver as much as the Muppet movies in the past have. Again, it's a good intro though for the story for the kids, but just let them know it's not exactly accurate. Okay, so that's my review of Muppet Treasure Island. What did you guys think of it? Have you seen it? Whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment and let's have a conversation.